Namaskaram. Welcome to National Interest. In this particular video, we are going to focus on Energy Nirbhar Bharat, which is a very crucial component for Nirbhar Bharat. And we'll see why Energy Nirbhar Bharat is more important than boycott projects. Energy could come in different forms. It can be electricity, it can be crude oil, it can be coal, or it can be LPG, it can be multiple things. It can be nuclear fuel and things like that. The other raw materials that we use to produce electricity. And I'm going to show it with numbers to indicate our dependence, India's dependence on energy on other countries, and what we can do to have energy network. I mean, if we do not have energy, which is crucial for manufacturing of several other products, then it is going to be very difficult for India to compete in the market. The countries like US have already reached their energy network because they can produce their own LPG, they can produce their own gasoline or petrol or crude oil. And in fact, US is the largest exporter of largest excavator or largest producer of crude oil, not the largest exporter, largest producer of crude oil. And they have sufficient amount of electricity, and so their energy needs are not dependent on any other country, and it gave it a lot of freedom to act in its own way. Unfortunately for India, we do not have these natural gas, or we do not have the sufficient crude oil reserves. But let us look at step by step what exactly the Nirbhar Bharat means. And let us start with the context of this video. So, first one is what exactly Nirbhar Bharat means, and the situation, the current trade situation, and benefits of benefits if we achieve Nirbhar Bharat, and a little bit of backstory about how it discovered this aspect, and the primary modes of energy consumption, not production, but the primary modes of energy consumption that we see in our daily lives. And I mean, these are all parts of my conclusion from the backstory. So, and the shift in the primary source of energy, the way we consume energy is taking a radical shift. And that is actually a lot of benefit. It is beneficial for India, and we need to understand this, and we need to take advantage of this if we have to move forward as a country. And untapped renewable energy, renewable resources in India, and whatever I'm going to show, they are not intermittent like solar and wind. They are continuous forms of energy. But unfortunately, not Narendra Modi, even the previous government, they did not give a lot of emphasis on Atmanirbhar Bharat. It is just during these times, maybe Narendra Modi has put some thought to it, but what fundamentally what the government should be doing are not doing it, to be honest. And the other point is export opportunities for India. So if we develop these technologies, what are the benefits for export of India? It's not just making the products for the consumption of just Indians. It is making the products for consumption as well as the consumption of the rest of the world. And the dangers of the enemies within India who are preventing this energy network Bharat. I'm going to prove it, maybe not specifically in this video, but in my series of videos, I'm going to show what are the who are the enemies within India who are preventing our energy network Bharat. First, you need to see the extent to which we are in shit. We are in deep shit in terms of energy network Bharat. and we are going deeper. Okay? And we need not go at all. We need not go at all. But there was a momentum developed, and it takes some time to get rid of that momentum, or to stop that inertia and get back to energy neutral. So let us see how we can go about it. Now, what exactly is energy neutral? Don't need to import even a single drop of crude oil for our transportation purpose. So, as you can understand, crude oil is more than 90% or 95% of the crude oil is imported for the transportation purpose, and remaining should small amount of percent, maybe 5-10% is imported for uh, making petrochemicals like gasoline, for even for medicinal processes like grease and other things are synthesized from crude oil. But the core for the transportation purpose, if we can stop the import of crude oil, then that is going to have a huge impact on our energy demand, on the way we consume energy. And how we can do it, we already know, but I'm going to elaborate more on that in my future slide. And we don't need to import even another liter of LPG. This we can do it immediately. And I'm going to tell you how, because we can radically shift the way we cook. And we don't need to import electricity or any raw materials for electricity. That is, we need not import coal, we need not import the hydro energy we import from Bhutan. That is well and good, but we need not import uranium fuel, we need not import all the other things that are necessary for energy. Like we are importing several machinery for electricity production as well. We need not import all that. And the current situation and benefits. According to PPSC, basically the reports are released by oil ministry, petroleum products and chemicals. We have spent mm, $111.9 billion on our crude oil imports in the year 2018-20. If, if you look at it, now $1 billion is equivalent to almost 7,000 crores, and as you can see, $100 billion is 7 lakh crore. So to give you a perspective, for military budget was around 4 lakh crore. So we are spending almost double the amount on import of one single product, the crude oil. Um, while if you take all the rest of the products, thousands and lakhs of products that we import from China, all those things combined are just going to be $70 billion. So almost we are spending 1.5 times more than what we are spending into China on this single product called crude oil. And you may say, or you may think that, okay, so but China is an enemy to us, or it is coming to war with us, so that is why we need to ban China products. Yeah, that thing perfectly makes sense. But if you look at the crude oil, we are importing mostly from Gulf countries, and these Gulf countries, I can show it in my future videos. I'll show that these Gulf countries are indirectly supporting Pakistan. They are giving a large amount of money as aid to Pakistan, and they are also putting that money in spreading of Wahhabism and Salafism, which are not generally practiced among Indian Muslims, and they are, you know, they are becoming these madrasas which are funded by these countries, are starting to be radical, breeding grounds of terrorists in India. So it is crucial for us to stop funding these things, because whatever you saw recently, that the death of 20 soldiers in India-China border, okay, that is strongly in our minds, because ever since 1967, no Indian soldier got killed by China, or was killed in huge border between India and China, 3,000 and odd kilometer border. No soldier got killed, so that became an issue. But in case of India Pakistan, we have soldiers dying every day, and they are cutting their heads and they are taking them off. So that has become so routine that media is reporting on them. So the problem is more severe in terms of our crude oil imports than the Chinese products. But we need to reduce our dependence on Chinese products, as well as we need to drastically reduce our dependence on these crude oil imports. So these are one of the important part of energy Nirbhar Bharat. As I said, we need not import even 1 liter of or even 1 drop of crude oil for our transportation. And India spent 32,989 crore on LPG import in the year 2018-2019. 32,989 crore just for cooking, and this is a subsidy. This is not the extra money that we are paying apart from subsidy. It will be more than double that. So I hope you understand the seriousness of the situation. Like, we can produce our food. The farmers are there to produce the food by agriculture, and our consumers can eat it, and their country can eat it. But between eating and producing and eating, there is something called cooking. And to cook that food, we are spending 32,989 crore per year in in just the subsidies, and all that money is going to Saudi Arabia and all these countries, which are considered to be ideological enemies. Ideological enemy is they do not want India to succeed, to survive, but because of their trade dependence on India, they are having some relations with India. That's it. But their religions will lie always in Pakistan. Saudi Arabian princes are protected by Pakistan. And India has spent 83,313 crore on transmission and distribution. These are subsidies. So the subsidies are here because for the residential purpose and for other specific purposes for the agriculture, the electricity was given for free. So that is one of the huge burdens on the Indian exchequer, or the people who pay tax. So the government should come up with specific schemes to reduce this burden. There was a kind of promotion for the solar water pumps and stuff like that, but it is not strong enough. We need to do something, bring that down. And Indian government has not done enough to reduce this, and this has been increased. This has increased to this level because of the lack of incentives for farmers and for residential owners to go to solar. Of course, we need to produce our own solar panels and manufacture our own solar cells. That is a crucial part here. I hope that process is also fastened because of the steps taken by MNRA recently. Now, let me take a step back and let me give you a backstory. On one fine day, I was I mean, before Corona, all this happened. I was sitting and I was thinking of Elon Musk, like how great he is and how he single-handedly overcame all the mm, you know negativity and he introduced a new technology or electric vehicles into the marketplace and how uh, the critical aspect of electric vehicles I really like is uh, the cost for traveling 1 kilometer in terms of fuel has reduced by to 110 reduced to 110. That is, it is if we have to reduce 100 kilometers and we have to pay 100 rupees. Now with electricity, we can pay just 10 rupees, saving 90 rupees. Uh, so, I mean, these are not exact numbers. I'm just giving you not numbers. It depends on who you go by motorbike or you go by car. Or it depends on a number of factors. What kind of car. But the basic concept is this: like 10 times the benefit in terms of the savings for the end consumers. Then I felt, man, India need not import any crude oil. And that is one of the largest imports. I showed you in my previous slides. And then I took a step back and I was thinking, okay, so crude oil is also a form of energy, and electricity is a form of energy. So what happened is in transportation, the crude oil is replaced, or the petroleum or diesel, which are the derivatives of crude oil, were replaced by electricity, which is another form of energy, right? So when I went down this path, see how the energy is being used or utilized in India, what are the government schemes that are related to different energy uh, products, then I got to know about the lack of crores of scams by successive governments. It is not just UK government, it is even the India government which are doing activities that are 180 degrees opposite to whatever they should be doing. And I'm going to, yes, of course, you need not believe me in this video. I'm going to show it with numbers. This video is just the beginning of a series of videos that are going to come, and I'm going to prove it to you with numbers. I am going to prove. I'm going to give solutions. It is not just showing problems and criticizing the government. You know, because this video is not sponsored by BJP or Congress. Um, I can, and I don't have any intention of going to these parties or anything like that. And since my channel's name is national interest, not Modi's interest or BJP's interest, my primary allegiance is towards nation. And if the parties are doing uh, bad things to the nation, I will definitely support. Okay. Now, the primary modes of energy consumption. As I told you, I was looking at things in terms of energy. Now, in terms of modes of consumption, we basically use three types of energy. You know. So one is the crude oil and its derivatives, like petrol and diesel for transportation. And number two is electricity for multiple purposes. It can be charging your phone, laptop, or it can be a mixer, grinder, TV. You take a number of things. So it is used for multiple applications. And the third is LPG for cooking. Well, at least most of them use LPG for cooking. Now, what happened is this crude oil, specifically used for transportation, is being replaced by electricity. The crude oil is being replaced by electricity. And that is giving a lot of freedom for India because we know how to produce electricity. We have multiple sources to produce electricity. Apart from the conventional sources like natural gas or diesel, which are also used to produce electricity. We have coal, which is available in India, but we are still importing coal from other countries. That has to be stopped. And even economically, it does not make sense to continue or existing coal power plants, but because of certain problems in the intermittency of renewable energy sources, uh, we are continuing with we are continuing to develop our coal power plants, and that has to be minimized because that is going to be an extra burden for the Indian exchequer. And I'm going to reveal it, all that to you in numbers. I cannot make a focused video about all these different aspects in a single video, but we are going to discuss all that. And LPG for cooking. This is a big scam, and I'm going to make a separate video about how big the scam is. Uh, so the major shift is Elon Musk has basically prepared a deathbed for the crude oil. So the future of transportation is going to be electric. Now crude oil is going to be removed, completely removed from the transportation because it is simply uneconomical to run by using crude oil. And that is going to reduce a lot of terrorism. And that is also a huge knockdown of hegemony of US in the financial system. Because the US dollar is tied to petrol, and there is a concept of petrodollar. So if the petrodollar collapses, if the link between petrol and dollar collapses, then the remaining governments they all need petrol, and in order to buy petrol from Gulf countries, the Gulf countries have made an agreement with the US that they sell their petrol only in dollars, not in their local currency. That was when US was the largest importer, very large importer compared to all the other countries. At that time, they got to this agreement, but now it is no longer the case. US has been producing, and there is also other chamchagiri here, like the countries like India and China could, and China is doing it, but India is a chamcha. Uh, I mean, our government did not, what is it, use its huge petrol requirement to negotiate with the Arab nations to trade in rupees or do multiple. That is another thing. So basically, Elon Musk has prepared deathbed for it, and that is crude oil is eliminated. The second thing is LPG. Now, since we are spending around 32,000 crore, 32,989 crore in just 1 year, and that is going to increase in future. All this import of LPG, especially, could have been stopped long ago if, uh, if the government policies are correct. I mean, if the government does not have any policy, even then it would have been eliminated. But it is only due to the corrupt policies of the government that we are still using it. Because the alternative which I am going to show is much more efficient, much more user friendly, much more safer, much more economical for the user. That it does not even make sense to go for it. So and that is local. That is going to help our local manufacturing as well, and that is going to create jobs for them. But all this money we are giving it to our enemies uh, who are raising terrorism in India instead. I mean, with that money. And the third thing is electricity. Electricity is going to be the sole mode of energy consumption. So as I told you, there are three modes of primary modes of energy consumption. One is electricity, other is crude oil, other is LPG, and these two things are gone. Only electricity is going to be the mode of consumption. And whoever produces electricity at a cheaper rate, um, uh, whichever country is going to do that, they are going to have a fundamental advantage. Let me give you an example of small countries like that who have taken advantage of that. There is a country called Iceland, and Iceland is small in size. It is an island in the sea, and they have this geothermal resource. Because of the tectonic plate movement, uh, they could get very hot steam by just drilling to few kilometers underground. Uh, and they use this natural resource. And what happened is there are several aluminum companies which required huge amount of power. They shifted their manufacturing units to Iceland, and they were able to produce the aluminum there for lower costs because of readily available natural resource. And that is basically identifying our inherent strengths and going by them. And India can take a leaf out of Iceland, but we are not doing it. Basically. There are a huge number of issues. Now, the cost of production of solar energy is lowest in India when compared to all the other countries. Cost of production of solar energy is least in the world, in the entire world. It is definitely yes because of the reverse bidding on all these policies that are created by the government. I completely agree with that. But that has made India less and less attractive for investors because their profit margins are shrinking. And, I myself did my master's in renewable energy, so I know what is and I worked in the industry, so I know what is. But this is a good thing. I mean, if a country could produce electricity at a cheaper rate, as, as I told you earlier, they are, that is that should convert to the industry. I mean, energy is a basic input component for several manufacturing industries. And if India wants to grow as a manufacturing hub, then the energy should be provided to them. The electricity should be provided to them at lower cost when compared to the other nations. But unfortunately, there is a lot of mismanagement here in the middle between the generation and to the end consumer, that the cost of electricity, though production of electricity is least in India to solar, the cost at which we are selling it to the industry is higher when compared to the countries like China. Though few paisa, it will become a huge thing when we look at it on a larger scale. And that is going to fundamentally put Indian industries behind China because energy is crucial for all the entire industry. Now, if we look at the other means of electricity generation, yeah, apart from energy availability, energy storage and energy reliability are also important because we cannot have all these on-off kind of thing. For factories, we need continuous production of goods, and some machines will take a significant time to turn on. Multiple problems are there. So we need to focus our research on energy storage technologies, on, on how to improve the reliability of energy supply. But India is not doing that. It is not doing enough of that. We are just looking for other countries to do something so that we can import. So the problem with Indian government, successive Indian governments is there is no vision. For example, even though it is not a friendly nation, China, it became a renewable energy hub because it manufactures a lion's share of solar cells and solar panels at a very cheap rate. And it became, I would say, a manufacturing hub for the electric vehicles. It has even invested in lithium and lithium extracting mines across the world, all around the world. And if a country like China is able to do it, okay, that is because of the vision of the government. Okay, this technology is beneficial for us. We are going to use it for our people, and we are going to export it to the world. So with that ideology, they have worked consistently to produce or develop those capabilities. Unfortunately, in India, there is nothing like that. We are, and US also does that. It is promoting several energy storage startups. You can, I would say, search on Google and you will see the incentives that US and other countries are giving for energy storage startups. But in India, we are just looking to depend on other countries, or okay, Indian government's attitude is to import from other countries. So that is costing India a lot, and that is not at all helping Indian startups or entrepreneurs. Now, the untapped energy resources. Okay, whatever I'm going to tell you here, they are less dependent on energy storage. They are going to help our base load. They are much more predictable and much more continuous. And but these are new technologies that India has to devote some resources. India should have a long-term plan, like it is for electric vehicles done by China, or it is for renewable energy things done by China. There needs to be a long-term vision, continuous focus uh, of multiple governments, even the successive government. If suppose Congress government Rahul Baba comes, then he should also support these kind of things. There should not be a break. Oh my God, okay, this is done by Modi. We are not, because continuous support should be there for uh, to build these kind of capabilities. So what am I speaking about? Geothermal. So the the problem we have 10 gigawatt, not 10 megawatt, 10 gigawatt or 10,000 megawatt um, uh, recoverable sources, or I mean, recoverable resource of geothermal energy. And our MNRE, or Ministry of New and Renewable Energy Resources, has provided the map of various geothermal locations. But the issue with this kind of exploration of geothermal energy is, just like oil, it is slightly expensive in the beginning. But once we are able to find the right spots, then it is a continuous kind of, it is a cash flow basically. We can get a large amount of, let's say, energy output for years and years, maybe 30, 40 years, like that. We can continue to generate it. And that is at a very low cost, by the way. And the other thing is Korean-based nuclear power plants. Well, it is more than 50 gigawatt, and India has 360,000 tons. 60% of the world's total thorium reserves are there in India, and India does not have a single thorium power plant. I mean, there, and thorium is considered to be 1,000 times safer than uranium. So we are importing uranium from other countries, but we are not doing enough to actually go out there and build a thorium-based nuclear power. And we can generate more than 50 gigawatt, but we are not doing it on a continuous basis. But we are not doing anything in this particular area. So we have to fasten the research on this, and we have to fasten. We have to increase the pace of doing, producing electricity from sodium-based. And the third is ocean thermal energy. So this is generating electricity by using the temperature differential between different layers of the seawater. And again, MNRE has identified that we can generate around 180 gigawatt or 180,000 megawatt. It's a huge amount. And just to give you a perspective on this, it is ocean thermal energy is available day and night. We do not need any kind of storage for geothermal. It is continuous. We cannot. We don't need any kind of storage for Korean based media. It is continuous. We need not use storage for ocean thermal energy. It is continuous, right? Uh, but if you compare the solar power plant of 1 gigawatt solar power plant and 1 gigawatt ocean thermal energy plant, uh, ocean thermal energy plant is 24 by 7. Now, and even if the capacity utilization factor, all those things, if you take that into consideration for maintenance purposes, you know, it is going to be like 2 to 3 times more energy output can be provided by ocean thermal energy plant when compared to solar power plant of same gigawatt capacity. Now, having said that, now what are the export opportunities? One thing is selling electricity. The countries like Bhutan are basically surviving because of continuously selling electricity to countries like India. And number two is building power plants for country nations. Um, so once we develop this kind of technology, like Russia has developed the nuclear technology, Rosat, um, it started building the nuclear power plants for India, and that is a significant source of revenue for the Russian government. And that is sharing technology. Okay, for really friendly countries like uh, other countries, we can share the technology. But first of all, we need to uh, make the technology economical for India. You know? And since the cost of production is very low in India, I mean, in order to make it economical, we need to, once it is economical in India, it will be economical across the world. Most. So we can get significant amount of funds here. Okay? So I mean, the way to do it is um, with the initial support from the government and let the private industry take over because they are much more efficient in managing funds from the government. Now, what are the dangers? Dangers are the corrupt politicians and officials uh, who are the very reason for the continued energy dependence, like $111.9 billion being spent in 1 year. Okay, it's because of the corrupt politicians and officials um, who did not, okay, who are sold to oil lobby and who are continuing to do damage to India. And I'm going to show that in my next uh, video. Um, I mean, even the people in the NDA government, Narendra Modi government, politicians and officials, um, they are doing something very detrimental to India in this regard. And they are using Nirbhar Bharat for, how do say, as a means to do all this damage. And I'm going to show it to you in the next. Uh, so a request to all my viewers is I'm going to put out some content. I'm going to show the dark side of Modi, which no channels are showing, and it is actually not a good idea to go against the government when they are in power and all this. But you know, it is not like the anti-national newspapers like NDTV, because I mean I'm not asking for Rohingya Muslims to come. I'm not asking for this religious tolerance, which yes, much more tolerant. It's unfortunately it is tolerant to tolerant people, but you know we need to look at the dark side because if the government does not have a credible opposition, uh, and if the opposition is not uh, pointing at the negative things that the government is doing, then ultimately the people and the country are going to lose. And the BJP will become a party like Congress. And, Modi will become someone like Sonia Gandhi. No? Because everybody in the Congress just starts saying, man, you are gods, whatever you do, we'll agree. So these kind of people are kept in Congress. So that is what could happen to BJP if there is no credible opposition. If the people are not shown dark side of things that the Modi government is doing. It is the responsibility of people like you and me to, say, to show that this is a mistake. This is exactly the mistake being done, and this is the corrective action that you need to take. Either the government should answer it, or the government should, make necessary changes so that the entire country will get moved. So I think I'm actually doing a favor to BJP by showing that these are the mistakes that we are doing for India. Please correct them. And I'll also show some of the good initiatives being taken by the current government. But all these things will happen uh, only if there is a large viewership. Like, uh, these things should reach a major section of people, and once it reaches that tipping point, then uh, then the government will be forced to watch it, to implement it. So I hope that would happen, and I hope that you would seriously look into it, and I hope we will all end up in gaining this. And I am sure you might have your own expertise on another field. Energy is my field, so I gave my uh, I put my thoughts on this in this video. And if you have your area of expertise, and if you think that the government could do something better in this particular area, then you can give some suggestions to me so that we can have a conversation, and maybe we can even come together and make a video, or I'll make a video depending on the such things that you suggest. Okay? So if you agree or disagree with the content of this video, you can put a comment here so that I can also learn. I can also improve uh, the quality of content. And if you need any further proofs, then please go through some of the links that I have kept. The video, whatever numbers I have kept here, I have the corresponding links to those articles. You can go through that in the description. And if you have any suggestions, then follow. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye bye.